Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Slay to Success Talk Show. My name is Rochelle Slay or Slay Queen Hemingway, CEO and founder of Slay to Success. And on this show, y'all, we are here. We are bringing in men and women who are positively impacting the world on their own terms. So we all start with the word slay. All right. And if you have been here on the show with us once before, you know what that means. But if this is your first time, slay means to kill it, to dominate it, and to nail it, to be on point, to impress greatly, and to dream big and work hard until you own it. It is also an acronym that stands for Universal Life and Leadership Philosophies that resonate with me, and hopefully they resonate with you too. And that is stay ready to be ready, lead out loud, a sense of community, and knowing you are built to last. So, as we come into the show, y'all, please let us know that you are here. This is a live show that streams on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn all at the same time. And we want to make sure that we give you a shout out because you could be spending your time anywhere else, y'all. There is a lot of things going on that you would be like, you know what? I'm just going to watch this instead. So we truly appreciate you being a part of the conversation. So as you come in, let us know where you're streaming in from. Give us your name, all that good stuff. Okay. So tonight, y'all, on the show, I like to bring in guests, all right, that are very much like-minded. And the guests that I have tonight, y'all are going to be absolutely slayed, okay? And I just want to say you're welcome because you're going to be thanking me later on, man, always bringing in men or women who are doing the dang thing, okay? So just so that we all are on the same page of who we have here as a guest tonight, I have with us Dr. Tina Kelly Brown. Now, she's a clinical researcher, a public health leader, and a retired U.S. Army Sergeant Major with over 37 years of service dedicated to strengthening communities through disciplined leadership and life-changing health innovation. She is the founder and CEO of Divine Fitness and Health Services Incorporated, a mission-driven organization committed to preventing, treating, and managing chronic disease through evidence-based fitness, health coaching, and community-centered wellness programming. Now, as a doctor of health science and exercise leadership, Dr. Kelly Brown bridges the gap between clinical research and real-life community impact, advancing innovative strategies that address health disparities and expand equitable access to physical activity as a form of medicine. Her work focuses on empowering underserved populations through culturally responsive, results-driven programs that improve quality of life, strengthen families, and create sustainable wellness systems. Now, she is committed to building a legacy of transformation where science, service, and wellness become pathways to freedom. She is recognized as a powerful speaker, a mentor, and systems builder whose mission really is to elevate health outcomes while also cultivating hope, strength, and purpose in the communities that need it most. So I want y'all to put your hands together, okay, and welcome my great friend, sisters in arms, if you will, Dr. Tina Kelly Brown.
Hi. Hello.
Listen, I'm just saying, I absolutely love that you're here. Thank you so much for your yes. This is going to be such a great conversation. I've got my pen and my piece of paper here on the side because I know I'm going to learn a lot more than I've already learned about you. But you are such a wealth of just great service. I just say thank you for your service, your longevity in service, first of all. And again, thank you for being on this show. So, how was your day today?
I had a wonderful day. And I'll say first, thank you so much for the invitation.
Absolutely.
And I think we actually talked about doing this over a year ago. So I'm just so glad that the time finally came and that I'm able to be here. I had a wonderful day. I attended an amazing event, vision casting, candle pouring, creating my own scent,
Mhm.
aromatherapy. So it was just amazing. And so I had to hurry up and get back on this side of town and did not realize it was going to snow. So I'm just grateful to be home safe
That's
and
right.
to have made this, the timeline. So had a wonderful,
Yeah.
all is well on this end. Thank you so much for asking.
Yes, you're absolutely welcome. I'm so glad you beat the snow because y'all, we're here in the DMV area. Both of us live here, and snow doesn't happen like that for us here. So it could be a number of things that happen along the way when we barely even get any snow. So, but I'm grateful and thankful that you made it home safely. We do
Yes.
have Leslie George on the Facebook side. She says, Happy Sunday. It's Happy Sun Slay in Slay Nation. So thank you so much, Leslie, for being here with us
Hi,
live.
Leslie.
Yes, on the show tonight. So, you know, so we've, talked many times over the past year. I know when
Yes.
we first met, we met at a networking event. And,
Yes.
from there have really been able to hear your story, to, understand what you are doing, how are you making an impact. So the audience doesn't know this. Okay. So I just want you to share from wherever you would like to, kind of the beginnings of, going into Army, kind of how that has, shaped who you are today. And then we'll just get this conversation rolling.
Okay, that sounds great. So, it surprises me sometimes when I say I served for 37 years. It's almost
To
insane,
God
but
be the glory.
to God be the glory. And I look back, I said, I'm glad that part of my life is over, even though it was amazing.
Mm,
But I decided to go into the Army at the age of 23. And
mhm,
so it wasn't my first, option right out of high school. But I did go to college, did a few years of college. And then I needed money to pay for college. So I went in the
mm,
Army as a PFC. And I did 4 years active duty. And then I got out and went into the reserves, and I continued my college education. So it wasn't long
mm.
after I got out that I finished up my bachelor's degree. So my bachelor's degree is in health science and community health. And I always say I'm one of the rare people that I'm actually doing everything that I went to school for, even up through my doctoral degree. And so I'll tell you more about
Wow.
that. Yeah, I'm doing everything. I'm a clinical researcher. I have a master's in clinical research administration. And now I'm doing exercise leadership. And of course, that's what my doctoral degree and all of my education is in the health sciences. So I just
Mm,
had a love of health science from the time I was in high school. So that's been an amazing journey. And so I spent some time in Fort Hood, Texas. I spent some time in Oklahoma City, and then I came back. I'm originally from Philadelphia, so I came back to Philadelphia, stayed there for a few years, and then I moved to Baltimore. So I've been in Baltimore close to 30 years. But
wow.
all during that time, after active duty service, I went into the reserves and I actually served as a drill sergeant. And so those were some days.
Ah,
Yeah, those were some tough days.
listen, look, I wouldn't even want. I don't even know what that even looked like, but I know you were
It's not
bad man
pretty.
pajama. Okay,
It's not
bad man
pretty.
pajama.
Yeah, it's not. I thought about it today, and it, what really came to my mind is that was just part of the journey.
Yeah.
Those were some tough years, though, because you're getting up at 3 a.m. and you're running with 17-year-olds, and so,
Mhm.
and I became a drill sergeant in my 30s. So yeah, it was some
Yeah.
tough days, but I transitioned to become an Army instructor, and I was an instructor on the podium for 13 years. And for me, I believe that is really when I kind of found my footing, if you will, right?
Mhm.
And so I really love being an instructor. And then at the end of those 13 years, I was selected for Sergeant Major. And I spent 11 years as a Sergeant Major. And I honestly, and because you were Chief Master Sergeant, but those were some good days for me. I enjoyed being a sergeant major, and of course that life is behind me. But I just think about the times when they rolled out the red carpet and their
Mhm,
VIP on the ground and
mhm.
all that. So I don't regret not one day of my career in my service. And although I did not intend to stay 37 years, I know that was God's plan. So
Yeah.
so I'm good with it. Yeah. So that's pretty much my military career. And I did get my master's degree, like I said, in clinical research administration. And I've been a clinical researcher for about 20 years now. And then
Wow.
last year, yeah. And last year I finished up my doctoral degree in health science and exercise leadership. And
Yeah.
I actually created Divine Fitness over 20 years ago. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, Divine Fitness has been
Listen,
around for a while.
yeah, you have done so many things. And I'm like, the more and more that you share, the more and more I'm just so grateful that we met because you're inspiring, not only the generation that we have now, but the generation that is to come. And it's just doing the work that you've always loved to do, which nobody gets tired of doing the work that you want to do. Um,
That's so
I,
true.
I, I really think too that there are some very commonalities that we had, in particularly, I also have my bachelor's in health sciences, and I was a
Oh,
medic
nice.
for,
Oh,
over 20 years in my
wow.
Air Force career. And
Okay.
one of the things that I was pursuing before I went into the military was exercise physiology.
Oh, wow.
I never went through with that because, I went into the Air Force. But I absolutely love, everything, moving body, exercising, the science behind it, and all the things. That's one part. The other part, when you shared about, the drill sergeant and the instructor piece to it, which are all leadership roles. I mean,
Yes.
and for those that are not familiar with the military structures and the ranks and the titles and all those things, the drill sergeant is the person that you meet at boot camp. So when you enter into the military, you go through a process and they call this boot camp. And Dr. Tina, you would see her. She would welcome you in, and she would make sure that get indoctrinated into the military. So, that person is, for me, the highly impressionable person. I still remember my drill sergeant. All right. And I think most people, they do too, because you leave a mark on them. And then when you're on the podium for such a long time teaching, that again is, ensuring that those individuals are coming and getting the information and what they need to continue on in their journey. So those things they're highly impressive. And then getting your
Thank
doctorate
you.
degree is yet another way for you to, showcase what it is that you do so well. Um, so, leadership is very broad. It is like this big, big, big word, that we use. And so sometimes understanding what leadership is, it could be a little daunting, right? But because you have had so many years of service and in leadership roles, I'm very interested in what are some of the things that you learned during your time, because leadership is leadership at, when we kind of peel it back, but it means so many different things based on your experience. So how did it shape you into being where you're at right now?
Hmm. Well, I would say, for one, I always led with compassion. From as far back as I can remember, I always had compassion and a desire to help and guide people. And I just believe I was a teacher at heart, really.
Yeah.
And so that was part of it. And then also, I made the decision during my master's degree matriculation. I made the decision to be a lifelong learner.
Mm-hmm.
So I just believe that when you invest in learning, I've always had a love of learning. And I believe that when you invest in learning, you're growing
Yeah.
and and you're leading, right?
Yeah.
Because you learn and you learn to lead and you get credibility and people will follow. The people will follow. So um, I just believe that just as a leader in the Army, it was something, and the Army is really good about providing education and providing courses. And
Yeah.
so we learned very early on about the be, know, and the do, to know yourself and be. So all those things added to my leadership and just going through those courses and it just prepares you to be a great leader and a lot of people don't know that the Army is a learning institution and
Mm-hmm.
I just think that that's really what grounded me and helped me to become a stronger and stronger leader as I went along. And then I was always in front of soldiers as well, and mostly young people that needed to be guided. So all
Yeah.
those things came together to help me to be a stronger leader. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, you absolutely did. Yeah, I think that, being a part of that particular community, I mean, because a lot of people ask, and I don't know if they ask you too, like, what did you do when you were in the military? Like, what did you actually do? Right. And I think, sometimes people have it in their head that you're just carrying around a weapon, putting on a Kevlar, and, just walking around ready to go to war. I mean, yeah, it is designed to go to war, but on a
Right.
regular day, we are teaching, we are facilitating, we are guiding, we are making
Learning.
sure, yeah, we are making sure that everything that the mission calls for, we're making sure those things happen, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
it could be a
absolutely.
number of things that we find ourselves doing, but we do have
Absolutely.
main core jobs. All right. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think that, leadership is, something that people want more of, they want to learn, they want to, kind of grow with, and institutions like the military certainly provide that for us and ground us in that. Um, and the one of the things that I learned while I was in military was the mindset. All right, our mindset matters. It like the perspective of what we see as resilience and grit and kind of determination, it is through what we had to do. So you know mindset, I mean, it can make or break us in so
It
many
really
different
can.
ways. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
I mean, like, what are your thoughts to like how mindset has kind of shifted in ways, even in the military, out of the military?
So you said, what are my thoughts about how my mindset has shifted?
Yeah, well, when you're in the military, you have, a certain mindset in the
Mhm.
military,
Absolutely, for sure.
and then when you transition out of the military, sometimes that adjustment is not really tweaked. It's, you kind of stay stuck in the frame. All right. So, I had to learn a lot more about the world at large when I retired. And
Yes.
so I know many of us do. So, how did mindset play a part for you?
Yeah. So, like when I retired, there were so many things that I wanted to leave behind. And I just didn't want to think about all that I had been through because if in the military you get some good and you get some bad, right? And
Mhm.
after 37 years, I was just like, I am done. And so I really had the mindset of just leaving that part of my life behind and really trying to cultivate or cut out a new life for myself, right?
Yeah.
And then I was going through so many transitions. I went through so many transitions. So for me, I've always had a positive mindset,
Yeah.
and so that's been very helpful. That's been very just very helpful and getting me to the other side. But I just had a positive mindset, and I went through those transitions one at a time. And
Mm,
even though I tried to leave my military behind me, I found that my military career was such an asset. And
mm,
so for me, even though I wanted to leave that behind because it wasn't all positive, and after 37 years, I'm telling you, I was tired and I was ready to go.
yes.
But once I got out and I learned about all the benefits that were available to
Hmm.
me, I started to see my military career as an asset.
Yeah.
And so as time passed, I softened up. And
Hmm.
when you talk about mindset, one of the things for me in the military, as a sergeant major, and this as a chief master sergeant,
Hmm.
we're in the military and we're Black females in a really in a male dominated organization, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I had a lot of masculine energy, I would say,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Absolutely.
And so that was one of the biggest shifts for me. And I'm
Yeah.
still dealing with that. I'm still getting to my softer side. And
Right.
so yeah, that was probably the biggest mindset shift for me. Just really trying to cultivate a more softer side, a more feminine side, because I needed that masculine energy for that environment that I was in.
Yeah.
Because many times I was the only person that looked like me at the table,
Hmm.
and then I had to have a forceful personality because of all the personalities I'm dealing with, and because the level of leadership I was at. So um, I'm still evolving,
Yes.
but it's been good, and I am becoming or getting to my softer side, and still maintaining that positive can do attitude, and really just enjoying the journey,
Yeah.
and really just taking it all in. And I said to myself today, I'm just glad that part of my life is behind me. But I know that everything that happened and everything that I did and learned has come together to make me the person that I am today. So I
Yeah.
embrace it all.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And thank you for sharing. Because I think a lot of women who served in the military, especially at the higher leadership roles, that was one of the traits or, a skill that you had to learn.
Right.
And then you sit in that for a very long time. And
Yes.
then when you transition, it's like you're trying to talk to someone and you don't understand the way that you're talking to them is like from being in the military, but
Right.
because you're so used to it. So
That's
there
right.
is some kind of reconditioning, if you will, that needs to occur, and the mindset has to shift just a little bit. I wouldn't say a whole lot because I still do carry a lot of things that I learned. And I love the word when you say asset. I love leveraging those experiences for what we are doing today. Now we got a question here. All right. So Vita is here. Hey Vita, how are you
Hi,
tonight?
Vita.
Thank you so much for being here live with us. I love that you're in here and engaged and you have a question. So you say the military seems to do a really good job of training and instilling the leadership mindset. How do you master that if you didn't go into the military but want to be a leader?
Hmm. I think, again, I would just go back to the lifelong learning for one, because
Yeah.
there's so many leadership courses out here, right? So
Yeah.
take a course. It's something that you build over time. Is this something that you build over time? And yeah, the military does a good job, but I'm thinking of an example, and I'm not sure if this was your experience, Rochelle, but for me as a sergeant major, I went to all these schools that taught me leadership. And
Yep.
so that's something absolutely that you can do on the civilian side. But what was interesting for me is when I went through Sergeant Major Academy, I was surprised because I'm thinking they're going to teach me how to be a sergeant major.
Mhm.
And they don't
No.
teach you. It's about presence. It's about
Mm,
all that education that you've gotten over the years, because knowledge is power. So
yes.
the more information and education you gain, the more powerful and um, the more powerful you become, and the more you have a presence, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, and I tell people all the time, knowledge is power, and education is very important, because that is actually what cultivates you to be a leader.
Yeah.
That, and then leading,
Yes.
leading, managing people, and learning how to be fair, and learning how to treat people the way you want to be treated, and things like that. So I would just say that it's a journey, it's a learning along the way, and a building upon what you've learned. And I took many leadership courses on the civilian side, right? And there
Mm-hmm.
are so many, John Maxwell, he offers some, their books. There's so much about that you can learn about leadership. And so, not being in the army, I would definitely go that route.
Yeah, that's really great advice. And a starting point, because and I love what you said, like and leading and actually doing the thing. All right,
Yeah.
like being in front of, or taking the role of, I want to run that, or I want to take on that project. And that in itself, and it could be little things. You start small, and
Mhm.
then you can work yourself up to more roles that have more responsibility, um, to really showcase your leadership style. That's the other thing, is to find your style. I you know and again, when you're in the military, there's so many leaders, and you look at some people and you're like, I want to like be like them, right? And I would take on some of what they were doing, and I realized I had to turn it into my own, because it was not sounding as if it was truly me. And I could
Yeah.
tell, like, something deep down inside me was like, that's not you.
Right.
Like, you
Has to
know,
be authentic, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's not me. I would not say that like that, So I had to learn what my style was, and
Hmm.
how that uniqueness can kind of come true, where people say, you know, um, and calling us by our ranks or whatever, like chief or sergeant major. That's what they would say, when they can refer what kind of a way you show up. That's when and if it's incongruent, if it's in alignment with what you're trying to do, that's when it's like, okay, that's me, right? But
Yes.
everyone has to learn that throughout the journey, for sure. So thank you so much, Vita, for asking that question. And she says, excellent insights and actionable advice. Thanks so much. Well, keep those questions coming, Vita, as we continue
You
on
are
the
so
conversation.
welcome.
Oh my goodness. You know, you also mentioned that even while in reserve, that you started Divine Fitness. All right. And so tell us a little bit about Divine Fitness and kind of how it has evolved 2 decades.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
what did that look like when you started it out?
Oh my gosh, just amazing, because I'm always divinely inspired. I've always been an introspective, intuitive type of person, right?
Hmm.
And so I would say right around like 1999, 2000, I got this calling. I'm going to say I got a calling to be a personal trainer.
Okay.
And I mean, I've never was an athlete, but of course I was physically fit from being in the military.
Yep.
And so I had the opportunity to become a personal trainer. And so I got certified as a personal trainer, and immediately I came, oh, I'm getting my own business, and didn't know one thing about business, but I created Divine Fitness, and I don't even know where the name came from. It had to be divinely inspired, right?
Right.
I created Divine Fitness and Health Services. And it was funny because when I first established it as a business, I got the name wrong, and I created Divine Health and Fitness Services. And I'm like, nah, that's not right. So I had to go back and change the name, but I was just a personal trainer. And so I did that for several years, probably for about maybe 5 or 6 years. I'm a personal trainer.
Yeah.
And then that's when I got in my master's program.
Mm.
And I'm in this master's program, and I everything that I've gone to school for was something that I absolutely loved. And it was never about the money. It was just about the love of learning subject, this
Yeah.
subject. And so I'm in my master's program, and I hear this term, health disparities, and I'm just like, I had never heard that term,
Mm.
didn't know it
Mm.
existed.
Yeah.
Right. And so,
Yeah.
and what I learned is that, we as minorities are at a disproportionate risk for every disease, hypertension, diabetes, cancer, like every disease. And a lot of it has to do with a lack of access,
Mm.
a lack of um, uh, fit. What do I call them? I'm gonna say fitness opportunities, but in our communities, because it's not really safe, right?
Mhm.
Health promotion amenities, that's what I call them, right?
Yeah.
But like in the community where I live, they have walking paths and hiking paths. Most Black communities don't have those things. And so, I learned about health disparities, and I learned that many of the disparities exist in physical fitness and physical activity because of those things that I mentioned. So I became really intrigued about that, and I actually created a strategic plan for Divine Fitness, because again, I started out as a personal trainer, and I learned how to teach aerobics. So that
Mhm.
was maybe the first 5 or 6 years of Divine Fitness.
Mhm.
And then I learned about health disparities, and I created this strategic plan as part of my school, you know, my education process. I had to create that. I had to create a strategic plan for a health enterprise as an assignment.
Yeah.
And that's when Divine Fitness really evolved, right? And
Mm.
then in 2009, because I was in school from up until 2007. And then in 2009, I had this great idea to create a summer camp for kids, because I was not working full time, and I'm looking at my nieces and nephews and how chubby they're getting and how they're on these devices and everything. And I created the Fitness Fun Day Camp under Divine Fitness. And that camp, I just completed my 14th year of that camp.
Wow.
And I
Listen,
and,
congratulations,
and
Queen.
it's the most amazing, it really is the most amazing asset of my business. Really is. It's been the biggest revenue generator, and it's just been something that the kids absolutely love. And this past year I did it in a different format, so I'm really excited because now it's expanding, because for the first 15 years, the first 10 years, my daughter helped me. We had a location, and then I evolved, and I had youth workers, and I had college interns, and so it really turned into something amazing. And but I was only serving about maybe 20. The most amount of kids I served was 40. But
Oh,
last summer, I actually went into someone else's summer camp and provided that program, and I was able to serve 80 kids a day. And
yeah.
yeah, that's a lot of work. It is a lot of work, but it's just
Listen,
it's a labor of love. It's a labor of
you're
love.
not even a labor of love. So let's just take a step back and go back to the health disparities part,
Sure.
because
Absolutely.
I do want us to flesh that out, and we do have several comments here. First, Vita was saying she was late joining, but she wanted to hear your journey. So she's glad that she didn't miss this episode. I'm glad you're here, Vita, too, because this is so good. I mean, really. So, and she says, we take walking paths for granted where we live. I know some Black communities, the goal is to get inside because that's where safety is, not on the outside, walking or building communities. So I know what she's trying to say in that, and more so that there's no pass and anything, so that there's a safety issue, because
Right. That's
most of the
huge.
times they're walking on the side of the road, where there's
Exactly.
no
Exactly right.
shoulder, and that becomes a bit much, or you're stopping in between lights and crossing over
Mhm.
major highways,
Mhm.
just so you can get your walk in. So that
Right.
is absolutely true, especially in the communities. And I've got Glenroy on the other, he's on Facebook side. We can't see the Facebook comments because Facebook won't allow me to be great. I don't know what's going on. But okay, I got my phone here. Glenroy says, okay, I'm late again, but I'm here. And then he also says, when you serve or provide any services or resources for children, you are serving generations. So, okay, so Glenroy, you brought that up. We're going to be going there. Okay, so first of all, first with the health disparities. So I'm with you. So we are very much like-minded when it comes to fitness. I also was certified a group fitness, taught a lot of classes at Gold's Gyms.
Awesome. That's
I was
great.
doing all of that as well. So you were smart and started a business off of that. I was just doing it for fun and get my little $20 a class and like keep it moving. Um, so, but researching and during your master's degree and stumbling upon health disparities, and so for me, even though I worked in the medical community within the military, I had no idea what the disparities were outside of that. Now, I got a little touch of it when I had AJ. I had AJ, blood pressure went up 200, 100, 200 over 100. It was a whole situation
Oh
on
my God.
magnesium drip for 3 days. Um,
Wow.
and my blood pressure didn't go down for a whole year.
Oh my God.
So
Mm.
that in itself too, there was a realization that, there were women that were, dying from childbirth, mostly Black women.
Right.
There was, COVID hit. That was the other indication because during that time, and I think you were still active duty as well, in 2021, were you still active duty
Well,
or
I was
reserve?
reserved. I
Or
was reserved,
reserve?
but I was on sergeant major duty all the time, so I was
Yeah.
always on
So
orders.
during COVID, we had to make decisions on who was going to go home. All right, based on the number of cases that they had in their communities.
Mm.
And the people that could not go home were minorities, most minorities, because they were from urban, inner city, and it was like a high number of cases. And then I saw
Right.
the number of individuals that were dying from
Right.
COVID and
Right.
where they were located and the demographics. And
Mhm.
that's when I really started to clue into health disparities.
Right.
And it is such a it's a very challenging field to be in, to first uncover and unveil the statistics and the numbers to what is really actually going on, and then also to create programs that are customized and catered for those types of communities. So I applaud you, like seriously, Queen, like of you taking on this, very highly complex and, and sometimes you feel like you're the only advocate. You're the only one out here like we need to make things better, right? So health disparities can really kind of, dictate like your outcome of what is to
Absolutely.
happen, right?
100%, yes, especially in maternal health. And you told that story, and I will say that maternal health is near and dear to me. Um, and just really I just want to see I want to see people healthy. But
Mhm.
maternal health, because it's getting worse for Black women. It really just is. And even maternal health and infant mortality. I live close to a community where the infant mortality rate is 400% above the national average. And I mean, that's
What?
just, yeah, yeah, honestly, I got some numbers for you. I tell you, health disparities right now is costing our nation about $435 billion a year.
Wow.
So, and that's the work, the research that I did in my doctoral program. So it's really big, and it's every disease. It's hypertension, diabetes, and again, maternal health. That's so huge for me, because I actually have three young ladies. My daughter and her two best friends are nurses, and we're actually starting a maternal health practice.
Oh,
And that's how,
really?
yeah, we are. That's part of Divine Fitness. Because we, the end goal is a medical fitness facility that is in the underserved community, that serves community members in the area of health and wellness with wraparound services such as maternal health and
Mm.
diabetes self-management or disease self-management, all that. That's the vision. So all those things are so near and dear. And I'm telling you, I know the numbers and I know the statistics. And so
Yeah.
yeah, very near and dear. And so this is the work that I feel like I was created to do.
Yeah, it is. I really do. I mean, based on the many conversations we've had, yes, you are. You're the right person to, make this come to light, bring a more awareness to the comment that Glenroy made about, serving generations when the children are being, put into the camps for, it is just like bringing activity, right? Doing
Yeah,
some things that are moving their
right,
body to normalize. All right,
right,
because it hasn't been normalized. It's, sometimes people think of exercises only for the rich people, right? Or for the
right.
people who
Well,
have
that's what it
access.
was. That's what it
Yeah,
was in the past.
yeah,
But
exactly.
kids, I will say this, kids want to move. If
Yeah,
you take those devices and they are so competitive and I
yes,
create fun programs for them and they a lot of times they don't even know that that's what they're doing. But this summer we had a ball. I got them to commit to being fit kids and we did so many competitive things and it is truly um, touching a generation because a
yeah.
lot of older people, especially those maybe 65, 70 and older, you say exercise, it's almost like cursing at them, right?
Listen, my mom, we were just on our Zoom call today. She does not like cardio. She will tell that and make sure all of us know she does not like sweating. All right. And I'm like, well, that's part of exercising. All
It
right.
is.
But you're
And you
right.
can walk. You can
You can
walk. You
walk.
don't have walking is one of the best exercises in the world, right? So
Yeah.
you can walk. It's just about moving your body and
Yeah.
physical inactivity is a pandemic, a global
Mm,
pandemic, and it's the
mm.
fourth leading risk factor for mortality, for death globally. And one of the things I want to do is really instill that physical activity in kids. And I have some amazing stories of kids that I served in my program that just became avid exercisers and love. I had a kid one time. I told the boys, I want y'all to run maybe 3 laps. And those little boys, they took their shirt off and they running 17 laps. And they just,
Listen.
it was amazing.
Okay. Well, we got lots of comments. All right. So let's just kind of break these out. All right.
Okay, sure.
First of all, Vita made the comment that they're making healthcare so much less affordable this year, which is true. So that's an aspect again to, having access to care in making sure, people are given the opportunity to, increase better health outcomes.
Right.
And then she also says, can you talk about how you take your program to 80 kids per day? Is it a package program that you now travel and offer? Is it just one day a week long? And along with this question to Dr. Tina, Kenji. Hey, Kenji. Okay, so Kenji is also a veteran spouse. Okay. She's actually the first person to take photo shoot of me when I first started the business. She's
Nice.
on here and she says she's fighting back from cancer and um having RA. What does RA stand for?
Rheumatoid arthritis.
Okay, okay. Thank you. No one talks about how important fitness is to your recovery. So that's
That's
her
right.
first comment. But
Mhm.
to add on to Vita's comment, she also says, how can we find out about your program for children? So go ahead and share, between Vita's and Kenji's
Mhm.
question.
Sure,
How does this all happen?
absolutely. Mhm. So I'm going to start with Kenji because that's an easier question. So exercise has been shown to prevent, treat, and better manage over 35 chronic conditions, including cancer, including uh, depression, anxiety, diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, over 35 disease. And I said treat, prevent, treat, and better manage, right?
Mhm.
So there's actually a cancer exercise program. Um, so you can certainly look into that because they have certified exercise specialists that specialize in cancer patients. I don't have that specialty.
Mm.
And rheumatoid arthritis is really a debilitating what is it? Autoimmune. It's a
Mhm.
debilitating autoimmune disease. So it's like your body is attacking itself. And but the one thing about rheumatoid arthritis is the movement is key. The more you move, the more you will be able to move.
Mm.
Swimming is great for rheumatoid arthritis. The thing about exercise, it brings oxygen into your body, and a lot of those cancers and uh, uh, other chronic diseases, they can't really grow in that environment, right? So you want
Mm.
to create a different environment in your body. You want to eat, of course, lifestyle choices like eating healthy and all that. That's like 80%.
Right.
The exercise is going to be kind of the icing on the cake. So certainly, yeah, you can find some programs that help treat cancer through exercise as well as rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah. She
And
says thank you.
absolutely. And so Vita's question was about, she wanted me to talk about how the kids program, Eddie program. So last year I actually got a contract. So what I was doing, I was renting space. I was running my program. I was enrolling children in a program, and I did everything from beginning to end for that program. And then I worked 12 hours a day, because kids come at 7 in the morning and the last one don't leave till 6. And then I still got paperwork. So it was just horrendous. So this past year in 2025, I actually got a contract with a community center, and they were already running their program. And so they added my program on as an additional class.
Mm.
And when I tell you it changed the structure of the program because the kids became more disciplined, they became, the program was more structured. I had, and I'm, being Army, I have a schedule that looks like an Army training schedule,
That's
right?
right.
Right. And then I have a full curriculum, and you can find out about that on my website, which is still under construction. So it hasn't. I'm actually relaunching it probably late January, early February.
Mhm.
But so I actually saw kids from 4 to 14, and I did 4 classes a day for 45 minutes, and I created a whole curriculum. And they would come, and I literally had like 15-minute increments. They would do maybe they would learn a little bit about nutrition. They would do warm up and calisthenics and things like that. And then they would go out and play a game, kickball, or the kids love to do what we call the pacer test. The pacer test is just a running test for the kids, and they love it because it's competition. And
Yeah.
they run, and then some of them got up to level 32. It's on its levels. So I just have a lot of fun with the kids. I really do. And it's just keeping them active and creating a little bit of structure for them. And they enjoy the program. And so
Yeah.
I'm hoping moving forward that I can take that same model and put it in multiple community centers. Right now, I'm only one person. Of course, that's not going to change, but I'm one person. I don't really have a full staff. I have a few people that work for me, and I typically will hire youth workers. However, as that program expands, we're going to be expanding personnel. But I like that model better because it saves me time, it saves me money, and then I'm able to be more impactful for more kids. So
That is so incredible. And and Vita, or excuse me, not Vita, Kenji, I think she has grandchildren. I know she has her grandchildren. Kenji, put in where you're from. I thought she is near, um she's either in Maryland or Virginia. I can't remember which one she's in, but where does the community center that you
we're Baltimore.
Baltimore. Okay.
Yeah, all our
All right.
programs are in Baltimore.
Okay. So we'll see what she says to that. Okay. So then swimming. Okay. That was also the comment here. Says that swimming or water aerobics is such an excellent form of low impact aerobics. Agreed, 100%.
Yes.
And then Kenji says, "Oh, I didn't know that I can find water aerobics class, So she can
Yeah.
definitely start to work in that because she's recovering
Yeah.
from
And that
cancer.
rheumatoid arthritis, my mom had it, so I know, I'm very familiar with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, like the success that you've had so far, throughout your military career, through your business career, and, not to get too in depth about, some of the personal transformations, but, we were able to partner with one another over, I think it was like 90 days or so. Could have been a little bit longer because we, spread out some sessions. But I'm going to say, like, the Dr. Tina Kelly Brown that we are seeing today, y'all, is different than the Dr. Tina Kelly Brown that I saw day one. And, and it wasn't like different in the ideas or the way that you were doing what you were doing. It was like you came out more confident, greater sense of confidence. I see this glow about you, this, so much more life. And so can you speak to kind of, what was occurring during that time? Just to give the audience a little bit of
A little
perspective.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we met, that was early 2025. And so I
Yeah.
had literally had just finished my doctoral program. I graduated in December 2024. And I retired from the Army in April 2024 after 37 years. I divorced my husband after 26 years. And so I just had so many changes and so many transitions in my life. And honestly, when you and I met, I was just like, okay, I really hadn't found this Tina. I just found her. So I was trying to figure it out. I'm like, because here all these changes are happening. And so I kept saying new life, new life. But I was just really on the tip of the iceberg of that new life when we met.
Mhm.
And I will honestly say, I have to tell you, you helped me so much. And one of the ways that you helped me is you gave me a new title.
Mm.
You gave me a title, clinical research based health and fitness expert. That was not a title I created. That was a title Slay Queen created. But let me tell you, I walked so into that. You don't even know. After that, after I got that title, and then you created that branding plan for me, everything that was in that branding plan began to come to fruition. I
Mhm.
spoke on the national stage, right? I became
Listen, wait, stop. Okay, what was the first one you did? What?
I spoke on the national stage.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah, and so it was a domino effect because I got selected. I was selected to be on the to speak at the Association for Clinical and Translational Science. I spoke at their annual conference. They invited me to be a part of their PACER group, which is a partnership for the advancement of community engaged research. Right. They selected me to be on that. And then they selected me to be on their work group for institutional transformation and policy. and they selected me to be the leader of the work group. So I'm just like,
listen, I, y'all, I can't hold folks down. All right, like
so
I'll tell you what, it's just like catching a bug. It's like, what else is out there for me?
I
And it was
know.
just so I have to just sit back, and I am the girl in the corner. I'm just taking a peek inside, and I'm like, listen, I don't know what's going on here, but I absolutely knew when you stepped into it. And even Vita says, Dr. Tina is definitely sending queen energy and presence. Okay. Because,
Thank you, Ms. Vita.
I was like, everything about you just got refined. All right. It was already there.
It was already there.
It was
Yeah,
already
it
there.
just, yeah, I had to make those transitions and really gain confidence back in myself because of all the transitions. And for being in situations for long term where people devalued me and where I allowed myself to be devalued. You know, my value was never in question. However, I did allow myself to be devalued. And so once I was able to, you know, get back and value, you know, my own intuition and value, my own self as a leader, and then things just started happening. And I didn't tell you, I also got selected to be on the subcommittee for the American College of Sports Medicine for their exercises medicine in underserved communities. And so I'm on their subcommittee. I go to the first meeting and I speak up, and then they ask me to present at the second meeting. And so I presented at the second meeting, and from that presentation, it snowballed into now we're doing a citywide, statewide, region-wide, and even national exercises medicine initiative. So exercises medicine is a American College of Sports Medicine initiative that they started in 2007 to make exercise a standard part of clinical practice, to make exercise prescription. Let me rephrase that. To make exercise prescription. So that means if you go to your doctor can now, and Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services just approve insurance reimbursement for doctors to do a physical activity assessment. So you can go to your doctor, they can do a physical activity assessment, and they'll get reimbursed for that. And then they should, if you're not meeting, because 1 in 4 people are not meeting the CDC requirements for exercise, right? Physical inactivity is a pandemic. And so your doctor could actually prescribe you exercise and refer you to a fitness professional such as myself, you know, or one of my colleagues. And then I work with your doctor. I work with you to change, you know, some of your lifestyle behaviors, including meeting those exercise requirements. And then I report your progress back to your doctor. So that's the model that we're starting to go with. But that's going to be Divine Fitness's primary initiative for 2026. And it's just so much. And on top of that, I'll just finish it. On top of that, it's a lot happening. It's a lot happening. And I tell you, the reason why I got chosen to be the co-lead, I'm the co-lead of this institutional transformation policy work group, is because of all the changes that our president made to research grants. He cut money. I'm working with a consortium of universities all over the country. I'm the only academician, and they asked me to be a leader because now in the academic health institutions, they're not allowed to say certain words, and I can say whatever I want.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's how I got chosen for that. And now I just have a really powerful voice with those organizations, and they're including me in everything. And it's just an expansive, it's really expansive. I'm not even going to go into all the details because we don't have time for that. But
Listen,
It's
they chose the
expensive.
right person, and
Thank
to
you.
God
Thank
be the
you.
glory, all the
To God be the
blessings,
glory for sure.
because it's all the time and it's the season. And
Yes,
so
for sure.
you are the one that's supposed to be talking through this, and really helping the undeserved population to get better in their health and how their outcomes are. And so we've got several comments here that I do want to share. So we've got LA Fitness has a water aerobics as part of the gym membership in Maryland, and the instructors are amazing. So if
Nice.
anyone lives in Maryland and is a member of LA Fitness or wants to become a member of LA Fitness, they got water aerobics, and Vita's been going. So thank you
Nice.
for sharing that, Vita. That's really great information. And then Kenji lives in Waldorf. All right.
Oh,
So thank you for sharing that. Like we were saying, the camp is in Baltimore. And then Glenroy, he adds so much value. It's on the Facebook side, and he says, active kids are intelligent kids.
mhm.
Okay, so that's the first point. He says, when there is an increase in oxygen on the brain, learning is less stressful for children.
Yes.
When they do not get oxygen to the brain and in the bloodstream to the muscles, their systems do not operate at an optimal level.
That's so true. It's so true. And
I 100,000% agree with that too.
yeah, I say that all the time that exercise changes the structure of the brain. And it really does. And because our kids are so inundated with these devices, and that kind of numbs the brain. So I
Mm,
tell them, don't bring no devices in my class. We don't, but we're moving and we're exercising. We're getting some oxygen. So I thank him for his comment, and I agree 100%.
yeah. And even in our own children, and I can speak about our son, Andrew. I call him AJ. I'm the only one in the family that calls him AJ. Um, he is in basketball. He's right now at the court playing, right? And he's one of the captains for the junior varsity high school team.
Nice. That's great.
He has straight A's, and
Wow.
he has carried that for, he may get a B or so somewhere, but I know because of the activity of what he does every day, because he's moving his body, he's working out, he's training. And I have seen it in myself as well. I work out every day. I do, a combination of whatever, cardio, strength training, and I do know that it does get this going, and I feel more focused, I feel more productive, I feel more relaxed, I feel more confident. It's just something in there, and when you say it just rewires, restructures the brain,
Yes.
I know that from firsthand experience.
Yes.
So that's why one of my mottos is always, our mantras is move your body. I mean, I don't,
Mhm.
every day, move the body,
Yes. Movement
so
is medicine, exercise is medicine.
it
It
is.
really is. It really is.
It really is. And so I thank you for coming on the show tonight and sharing all this goodness. Okay. Vita said, you have provided so much value in this session, Rochelle and Dr. Tina. I'm glad that I um, put the calendar reminder on my phone for tonight. So we are happy that you are here, and
Yes.
you've got firsthand, okay? You got, exposure to Dr. Tina. So follow her on LinkedIn, y'all. Okay. If you're not already following her, please do so, because she's going places. She's impacting the community in such a great way, and on just a big scale. So definitely need to, make sure that we are supporting and that we are elevating your voice, amplifying your vision, because this will affect the next generations to come. And
Absolutely.
Kenji also said she's so glad that she saw this live as well. So this has been great. Now I got two more questions before we close it out, because y'all, we are at the And, for aerobics, what we do, top of the hour. This is the top of the countdown, if you will, if we were saying, and we're going to go back to the top, right? So,
Yes.
I know that we've talked through several of topics here, but I do want you to leave something for the audience that we have maybe not shared, or you want to re-emphasize something, that too, before I give you the last question of this episode.
Mhm. I think that what I want to share is it's look out for the Exercises Medicine Initiative, because it's going to be a public health initiative, and I want to expand that program. That program has been around since 2007, and it's just never really caught on. And
Mm.
I have an amazing group of people that I'm going to be working with to just get, just expand that message and get those doctors now, because they're going to be reimbursed. If your doctor's not asking you about your exercise activity, then you need to ask him, hey, what should I be doing for exercise? The thing about docs, they are not fitness trainers, so they can't prescribe you exercise, but they can certainly, because what we're trying to do is make physical activity a vital sign, so that when you go to your doctor, just like they take your blood pressure, just like they take your temperature, they should be asking you, how much exercise are you getting? And if you are not meeting CDC regulations, which is requirements, I should say, which is 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise per week, right? Or 300 minutes of moderate intensity and 150 minutes of high intensity. Check the numbers, but
Mhm.
it's something along those lines that you should be getting every week. And if you're not getting that, then your doctor should be concerned, because people want to use exercise to lose weight, but exercise is actually to strengthen your muscles, and the biggest muscle is your heart. So you want to keep that heart in good shape. So that's really and when your heart is working efficiently, then you don't have hypertension. When your heart is working efficiently, you don't have cardiovascular disease. So that's the one of the biggest reasons for exercise. And we're really working to get the word out that exercise truly is medicine, and your doctor should prescribe it. So that's the one thing I want to emphasize. And
Yeah, I'm
I'm going to
listening
be
loud
doing,
and clear. Yes, I'm listening loud and clear, and I'm so glad that you shared that one more time. So we want, as a community, and if you in here, you part of Slay Nation, and when you in Slay Nation, we all about taking care of ourselves
that's right.
holistically. Okay,
That's
so this is part of the process, or part of the plan, is making sure that our health is of most importance, because we all have something that we are carrying on, something. We have communities that we are leaders of. And
Mhm.
so, as the leaders of our communities, change agents, trailblazers, you name it, you want to make sure that you are well, okay?
Yes.
Because you can't do your work
Right.
if
Your
you're not
health is your greatest wealth. It really
exactly.
is.
It really is. And then Glenroy has a comment here as well. He says, I'm going to, and I don't know what that he says, working on a master's in mental health and wellness. And you would be a great resource for information. Well, yes,
Oh,
Glenroy, go ahead and connect with her on LinkedIn. And
for sure.
as you get closer to, what you're needing to have her help you with, I'm sure she will get on a call, or, text, or whatever the case may be, and help you out with what you're doing. So
Absolutely. For sure.
um so, we have talked about this in, one of our sessions before, but I want you to kind of break this out for the audience. And this is my last question, y'all. You know how this goes. So I ask every guest that comes on the show the same question. So, because we have more years behind us than we do in front of us, like, what we
Mhm.
do is, intentional work. The actions that
Yes.
we take, we know that it will affect the generations and the legacy that we're building. And we've already built legacy, up to this point. But for me, I kind of look at, 80 years, because I went to my aunt's birthday party. She turned 80. They were giving her the flowers and all the things. And, they were getting it right of what they were saying they were to her and how they saw her. Right. And so I was like, man, I want to make sure that on my 80th birthday, and I'm going to have a party. If God gives me those many years, I'm going to have a big old party.
Absolutely.
But
As
what
you
are they
should.
going to say about me? All
Right.
right. And so what do I want them to say? Because that means that the actions that I take every day is the sum of the actions that will be what they share. So I'm going to ask you, all right, if God gives you 80 years and you have a big old birthday party, Queen, what do you want your family and friends to say about you?
Um, I want my family and friends to say how much of a positive impact that I've had on their lives, the lives of my family, the lives of my friends, um, and how I'm always willing to give, and how I have created generational health and wealth and wellness. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Well, all the things that is up to this point has definitely, given the pause to really say, yes, Queen. I mean, I haven't met a you before, you know, and I absolutely loved having you on the show and sharing you with the world, because on the platform, you never know where this is going to go.
That's
Okay.
right. Yeah.
So, again, thank you so much for being such a slay amazing guest and giving
Uh,
us so much to think about, so much to do. We've got our action plan. Okay. Everybody got their action plan. All right. So we need to make sure that we following through and holding
yeah.
ourselves accountable. So we will be moving our bodies every day. Okay. So
Yes.
let's
Good.
just make sure that is the first point of order. And I do want to thank our guests that came here live, because you guys, without you being here, we would just be talking and it would have been great. But it's always great to have other people who are giving their perspective. So, Vita, I thank you so much for being here live with us tonight. And you were on the YouTube side. And then we had let's
Kenji.
see, Leslie George. She was on, again, the Facebook side. We also had Glenroy over there. We had Kenji, and I just want to make sure that was everybody over there. So yes, and for those that come back and you listen into the replay, or you have a comment, or there's something else you want to share, go ahead and put in hashtag replay, put in your comments. Me and Dr. Tina, we will respond to them. We will, give you more information as you are asking for it. But we truly think the more that we come and we show you who is in the community in Slay Nation, it all is in the vein of helping us all to be better, to be stronger, to be
Yes.
more visible, and have this presence that you'll never, ever, ever forget. Okay. So I want you all to keep on slaying until you can't slay no more. We will be back here on next Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, I got another Slay Amazing guest that you do not want to miss the show. Okay. So we will see you back, and please have a great week. Stay safe, stay warm out there because it's a little cold, and we'll talk to you all soon. So thank y'all.
And
Love you.
thank you so much for having me. I so appreciate that.
You're absolutely welcome, Queen. Absolutely welcome. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you, guys.